Hello and welcome everyone. If you are here live with me, please comment. Please let me know you're ready to get started. Today, we're going to be doing a case study on the velocity banking strategy in retirement. So I'm going to share with you an example on the board here, someone I've been working with for multiple years, someone that has been retired for multiple years now. Since we met, they were already retired. And in that period, we've done many moves to get to this point now where we're going to be actually starting velocity banking fully. Okay. So prior, when we first met and up until this point, we have not been doing velocity banking to its full capacity for a number of reasons. One, we didn't have a debt tool, so it just simply didn't make sense. All we had were credit cards, and we were operating out of a negative cash flow position. So it was a matter of pretty much surviving and stretching the dollar for as long as we can while trying to do other moves, whether it was make more money, pay off debts, right? Using existing capital, other vehicles, moving things around to finally get to this point. So hopefully that gives some context as to our current situation here. And those of you that are live and have questions, go ahead and drop those questions now while you have me, especially if you are someone that has been watching the YouTube channel for some time. You want to get some questions, some clarity, some clarification. Be specific in your questions and I will address those once I get through my lesson. Okay, so we've got 11, 14 people or so. Just want to make sure my audio is good. Everyone can hear me nicely. Everything looks good on my end. So without any further delay, we're going to take this to the whiteboard. We're going to begin. So here is an individual retired making $4,789 a month on the left-hand side of the board, four major numbers, okay? This person collects Social Security and has a pension. So those are our two sources of income, okay? Their total expenses are $4,856.19. We're in the state of Florida, okay? We have a total debt of $342,700.46, which leaves us with a negative cash flow of $67.19. Now, I want you to keep in mind that when I first started working with this person, they had a bit of positive cash flow, and then through certain circumstances, without revealing too much information, we'll label it as family issues, and along with just other life events, created a negative cash flow situation in the multiple thousands of dollars. Okay, so this is an example where it is not because of a lack of stewardship, a lack of management, a lack of knowledge in regards to handling finances. It's really none of that, or even bad habits. Okay, this is not those kinds of situations. This is literally life circumstances, family issues, and real estate issues in regards to, creating a positive cash flow on a rental, let's just say. So you have a culmination of those things which caused this person to be in a negative cash flow position for nearly 2 years in the multiple thousands of dollars. So the way this person was basically surviving is we were leveraging credit, leveraging debt, in certain scenarios, certain cases, 0%, floating expenses here and there. And we were actually draining savings. So this person had about 2 years worth of savings to maintain the negative cash flow position that they were in. And it got to the point where we were running out of that space, out of the savings. We were about 4 to 6 months left before we were just left with debt, right? This person had 2 properties, one rental, one primary, and the rental was generating income. And then for about, I want to say about a year, did not have a tenant and was not generating any income. And so they were covering, and that's what created the negative cash flow in the multiple thousands of dollars, was due to that. Okay. So very strategically, with the help of myself, another financial professional, and a mortgage broker, we all came under alignment where it made the most sense to actually sell this person's primary home because it was too much house for this person who's retired. Okay. This is a single mom, retired. So it was too much house, and there was a lot of equity, a lot of value in there, that if we could sell that house and then have the person move into their vacant rental property, which was a smaller home, easier to manage, less utility costs, less property taxes, less insurance, less everything, less HOA, less everything. And so by doing that, we sold the property, we have a big profit, okay? If we take a look at the board here, we have this cash on hand, $179,665.21. About 160-ish or so of that was the profit from the sale of their primary residence, okay? Which nearly wiped out our negative cash flow position, nearly, okay? Here are other assets that this person has. Roth IRA, about 8 grand. Traditional IRA, about 64 grand in there. An annuity, which was funded at 150 grand. This was a move that we made together, okay? They rolled over money out of their IRA into an annuity to secure income for the future. We did that in 2023, I believe, or beginning of 24. I think it was 2023, toward the end. And that was about 150 grand annuity that we put in place, which is estimated on a guaranteed level, right? So it could be more, but on a guarantee basis, we'll pay out about $1,000 a month for life guarantee, which we have not turned on yet, okay? And then they have a life insurance, 2 life insurance policies equaling $150,000 in death benefit with about $7,000 or more in cash value. And now this is their primary residence, which was the rental, now became their primary residence. So then, we get the homestead, right? We make the changes, all that good stuff. We have a remaining balance of $326,259.86 with a mortgage payment of $3,100. 8.13% is their interest rate. Okay. Now, the first move that we got to make after selling their home, mind you, we were in that multiple thousands of dollar negative position and we were almost running out of money. They had to take on some debt. They had to buy something for the house, some repairs. So we pretty much racked up about $23,000 of debt that we want to remove. So we're going to pull that from cash, just use straight cash, pay off this debt. And our second move, what we're working on, is acquiring a debt tool now. We're now positioned to acquire either a first lien home equity line of credit or a second lien home equity line of credit. Now, I've had conversations with this person to decide what would make the most sense in this particular scenario. I want to let you guys also give your opinion, what you think you would do in this situation. Would you go for a first position home equity line of credit? Or would you go for a second lien home equity line of credit? Another detail I can give you, the value of this property is well over $400,000 plus. So there's equity in there. Now, from a velocity banking standpoint, you can get results, favorable results, with either option, first lien or second lien. From a velocity banking standpoint of accelerating debt, doing velocity banking, those things, right? Now, other factors that I see here is the cash flow, right? We're still technically in a negative cash flow position or barely breaking even, right? And this person, again, does not have poor spending habits, poor management issues or stewardship issues, nothing. They live a very, very peaceful, modest lifestyle. And they don't need a whole lot of things. They're very consistent with how they live. So they have very consistent bills, that sort of thing. So my suggestion was to go for a first position home equity line of credit, not just from the standpoint of velocity banking, but also from a liquidity perspective and a cash flow perspective. You see, if we were to get a second lien HELOC, no cash flow is being gained, right? Even if they were able to get a lower rate on a second lien, and typically that's the case when you're comparing a first lien HELOC to a second lien HELOC, typically you will find a better rate on a second position home equity line of credit, no doubt. You typically will find intro rates, prime minus a point, versus on a first position home equity line of credit, to even get a lower rate close to a second lien, you would have to pay for points reductions, right? So you have to pay a fee to reduce those points just to get close to what a second lien HELOC could do for you, right? But again, there's no cash flow gain if this person goes with a second lien, right? They get a $40,000 home equity line of credit, and they start making, let's say, 10K chunks on their mortgage to knock it down. There's no cash flow gain. They still have to make the mortgage payment of $3,100. So in my opinion, a second position home equity line of credit in this example doesn't make sense for me. Now, what could be done, and I think would end up costing more money, is if they got the second lien HELOC and when they went to make a chunk payment to their primary home, they could do a mortgage recast, right? And that would slightly reduce the mortgage payment, okay? But again, like, to do a mortgage recast every single time, I think there's some costs associated with that. And you're still only what, maybe that increases your cash flow by $100, maybe $150. So again, I don't love that. Let's say they didn't do a second lien HELOC, didn't do a first lien HELOC, and we've got that lump sum of money to work with, right? So if we take a look at the board again, we got that 179, 23,000 of it is paying off debt. So technically their negative cash flow position is a little bit higher when you leave that debt remaining, right? So that's three debts, a couple $100 in payments. So I'm like, let's just get rid of it. That would bring down the 179 number around, I had put 150 estimated, right? Could potentially be a little bit more. Just depends on if other things pop up. But if you wanted to get the exact number, it's $156,620.61. And the reason why I estimated down to 150 is in case other things pop up, because life happens and things pop up. Okay. So even if they didn't do the first lien or the second lien, and we did do the first move, paid off some debt, leaves us with about 150, 156K. Let's say they did that and did a dump into their mortgage and did a recast. Well, that would definitely increase cash flow, but then that leaves you with no liquidity, right? All they have left is their Roth IRA, the other IRA, the annuity, and their life insurance, which has a couple grand in there, a couple grand in the Roth. And do we really want to be pulling from money that's still growing for them? So that might not be feasible, okay? So where I think the first lien HELOC is going to be a much better option for them overall, even though it costs more money to get a first lien than a second, and the rate will likely be higher than a second lien. Again, from a cash flow standpoint and liquidity standpoint, they're able to retain all of that cash on hand and apply it as principal paydown into the line of credit, and it would be available for them. Also, it removes the obligation of that $3,100 payment. If I'm able to remove that $3,100 payment for them from an obligation standpoint, we're still going to pay down the mortgage and remove it completely over time, because it simply makes sense for this person, for their situation, what they got going on. There's no other investment at their current age. I want to say 68 right now, 68 turning 69, that at this stage of life that they're in, this is a person that's not trying to start a business. They're not trying to become an entrepreneur. They're not trying to add stress into their life, okay? They're not interested in risky investments or investments that have potential risk associated with it. They are interested in guarantees. And so paying your house off provides a guarantee. Hey, I don't have to worry about this payment. With a first lien, I remain liquid, so I'm able to access the equity in my home if I need it for anything. And ultimately, I think that puts them in an overall less stressful position to, enjoy the rest of the years that God gives them, right? So that's where I believe, after explaining all that, a first lien HELOC would make a lot of sense. Now, again, if we look at the value of the property, it's well over 400,000, more than likely. I estimated that they could pretty realistically get a first lien home equity line of credit with a credit limit of about 360 grand. And when you minus the fees and closing costs that are associated with refinancing into a first lien, say we got about 150 grand left. We're in February 2025. By the time this gets completed, we'll probably have the first lien in place with the account and everything set up, probably by the end of mid-April, toward the end of April. It takes about 30 days or so to, go through this process. And when you're able to make that large dump in from 326 dumping in 150, balance roughly will be around $176,500 owed on the house. And what I estimated was the rate to be the same, right? So I just used, with a first lien HELOC, 8.13%. I just estimated the same rate that they currently have on their mortgage. If they get an even lower rate, then their monthly obligation will be even less. So if they owe $176,500 at 8.13%, their monthly obligation, interest only, is only $1,195.78. Not bad. Okay? So think of the cash flow gain that creates for this person when I'm able to lift that payment off of their shoulders. It automatically puts them in a positive cash flow position. And with a first lien HELOC, escrow is removed. So we would be responsible for paying escrow. And because we're doing velocity banking with a first lien, the person can just simply use the equity in the home to pay their property taxes and insurance. And then when you couple this with a credit card to run bills for cashback rewards, earning anywhere from 1 to 3% max on bills and expenses, well then every single month, they're probably going to be recovering like $20 to $30 on spend each and every month, estimated, or less. Plus, every single month I do velocity banking, I'm creating cash flow instantly by reducing the interest costs each and every month. Because as I do velocity banking, by depositing all my income in to the line of credit, and expenses are coming out and cash flow is just staying parked in there, every single month, your net cost of interest is reducing and you realize that cash flow right there. It's not a whole lot of money, but over a period of time, it becomes hundreds of dollars. And when you're retired on a fixed income, every dollar counts. Anyone that is retired watching, you can comment if you are in alignment with that statement. Every dollar counts in retirement. Right? I always say that every dollar counts, which is why whenever you see my case studies, I'm always using dollars and cents. And some have criticized that as it being more, you're creating more complexity. We don't have to worry about the cents. And I don't know. Every high-level entrepreneur I've met today pays attention to every single dollar that flows through their business. Every high-performing entrepreneur that makes 5x more than what I make, they pay attention to their cents, to their dollars, to their bottom line, because they know for every dollar I save, I preserve, they can multiply that and get a 300% rate of return on that as an entrepreneur. So when you're not an entrepreneur and you're not getting 300%, 200%, 100% rate of return on your money, and you're dealing with a fixed income, right? You have to deal with inflation and taxes and all sorts. Dollars and cents matter, I would argue. Okay, so comment below if you agree with that or not. All right, so let's say they move forward with this, because as of right now, we don't have this in place yet. The home was just sold, so we're sitting on this cash right now. It's sitting in a high yield, earning about 4%. And we are in the process of doing our research, getting educated to decide if I want to move forward with a first position home equity line of credit. So even though I like it, I still like my clients to go through the education process and not just rely on me. Okay, that's how I operate my practice. I teach you all what I know so that you become independent, self-sufficient, not reliant on any guru to tell you what to do. So now, here's an example of what velocity banking would look like over a 5-month period or so. Assuming they did a dump in, owing $176,500 at 8.13%. We see the income going in $4,789, expenses out $1,756.19. This is their monthly expenses, and then one time out of the year they'll have a higher expense because of property taxes and insurance, right? So I haven't accounted for that in this number. So just keep that in mind. So money in, money out, balance goes down to 173, and I estimated about 1161. So notice how I went from 1195, I'm already at 1161.88, right? In a 1 month time frame. So at 176,500, if you did nothing, that's your obligation, 1195.78. If you do velocity banking, you reduce it down to 1161.88. Then from there, I very conservatively guesstimated that the monthly net interest costs would reduce by about $12.50 every single month. And that's not including running this person's bills on a credit card and maybe even leveraging a 0% credit card in conjunction with the first lien HELOC. So putting that to the side, that's like $50+ right there, at least, maybe less. But just saying, all right, if the balance goes down by $12.50 each and every month in terms of the interest costs, that's what I showed here. And by September of this year, we go from owing 176 to 163, 164, right, and some change. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, so 6 months. And if I go all the way out to like November, I believe is when we pay our property taxes. Is the earliest that you can pay your property taxes. So they would just simply pull from the equity at that point, okay? Additional things that can happen here to accelerate this debt elimination timeline is we could at some point turn on the annuity and start collecting that $1,000 or so. With an extra $1,000 coming in each month, that would also reduce this balance. And I could estimate, I would be willing to bet that this person could potentially pay off their property by the time they're 75 or sooner. Okay, I think it's very, very possible, especially if this person decides to work part-time. They were very interested in maybe doing something that they maybe ministry work, contribution, getting involved in something. It's just that the last couple years, it's all been just laser focused on survival mode, stretching the dollar as much as we can. So we're now coming into a season where we can now, we're treading water, we're believing again, we've got hope. We see that the future looks bright. This is the attitude that this person now has, which is great. And so when we look at, hey, in retirement, what does work look like for you in retirement? This is a question that I've been asking a lot of clients lately that are getting near retirement is, what does retirement look like for you? Let's draw it out. Let's vision board this. And what does work look like for you? Most of you watching have an incorrect definition of the word work. A lot of us think work means labor, means working for someone else so that you can get something, right? That is a worldly, misconstrued, manipulated definition of the word work. When you look at work from a king's perspective, okay, talk to any king, any ruler in their own life, a person that is in control of their life, the way they look at the word work is becoming who they are. So if every day you wake up and your work involves becoming more of who you are, expressing more of who you are every single day, and imagine getting paid for that, that's a paradigm shift. And when you're at this age, once you've passed 67, you're able to receive your full Social Security and work as much as you want. So there's another opportunity here for this person that's still very healthy. They can move around, they can operate, they're self-sufficient. if they get themselves involved in some kind of work that keeps them interactive with other people, keeps them social, keeps them fulfilled, and they make, who knows, an extra $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, whatever it may be, that's going to accelerate not only the timeline, but also continue to expand their wealth. Because outside of this home, they've got no other debts. They got nothing else to worry about. They are solid, right? And when you look at the other assets that they have here, that's just going to keep growing in the background, the Roth and the IRA and their life insurance, all that stuff is just going to keep growing in the background while they're knocking out debt here. Now, the last piece I want to share with you is right here on the right-hand side, is giving you an idea of what it truly takes to achieve financial freedom, success, independency, security in your life, understanding that the chances of you doing this alone are slim to none. I've never met anyone that is over the age of 59 and a half, retired, that was successful on their own. It doesn't exist. So those of you that are trying to DIY this the whole way through, good luck, okay? I have a lot of respect for you. I think you got a lot of courage to think that you can do this all by yourself. And for those of you that leverage this content for DIY and know that you need support, here's an idea. Here are some of the people you want to recruit onto your team. Let's call it your financial dream team. People that you can recruit from the outside into your kingdom, into your household, to help you achieve all your financial goals so that you can live your life at its highest potential. Here are some of the people you want to keep in mind. Not in any particular order, as a preference as to where to start, especially if you are someone watching, you're a few years out from retirement or you're in retirement, you are absolutely going to want to recruit yourself a financial coach and or a retirement specialist. Okay, those are the two people you want to bring in. Because what's great about a financial coach or retirement specialist is they're not someone that's incentivized from the investment standpoint, from like a financial advisor, on just trying to get as much of your capital so that they can collect their fiduciary fees, right, or commissions to then serve you. Versus a financial coach or retirement specialist can give guidance, can show numbers, even if you end up not even doing business with them one-to-one. That's what I've always enjoyed whenever working with other financial coach style people or retirement specialists, is they're not specific to one way, one product. And if you don't go my way, my one product, then they don't help you. Whereas when you work with a financial coach, retirement specialist, they've got a much larger tool belt to work with. They're more than willing to pass to this person over here to solve for that particular problem, right? So having that kind of person to bring in, even if you have to, pay for one or two consultations, in some cases it can be free, because it's all just based on, if we can help you, here's how. And if we can't, we pass, right? We refer out. And so that's how this process has worked with this particular person. They initially hired me because they found my YouTube channel. They're trying to get out of debt. Initially, that was their block. Debt was their block. And we've removed a majority of that block over the years. That allowed me to build trust with this person and build a strong relationship. And then I started bringing in certain people to solve different things that was outside of my expertise. So I brought in a retirement specialist to help us on the annuity side, to evaluate their existing investment accounts. They rolled over to another firm that's earning them more money now in their account. We did an audit on their different investment accounts to see, how the money is being allocated. Then I brought in a mortgage professional to help them sell their primary home. And that person was able to sell their house for a premium, which gave them more profit. Okay. And the last, and obviously we also brought in a financial advisor. So I want to give credit to that person that's handling their IRA now. So now they have someone handling their IRA. Okay, there's a lot of clients I work with that have retirement accounts that are not being managed. Like it's doing nothing. It's an account over here at this employer and one account over here at this employer that they no longer work for. And the account is like basically dead. It's not doing anything. Okay. Just by getting a set of eyes on it and doing an audit, maybe rolling it over into something where you have a little more control as to what that could be invested in. What if that alone reduced your cost in it and increased your rate of return by 2 or 3%? What could that mean in retirement? It could mean a lot, right? Especially if you don't need to touch it. That could mean a lot. So that's another move that we made in addition to all this. The last piece that we need to solve for is bringing in a healthcare professional, which is something I'm working on now for this person. Is as you age in life, right, things start to deteriorate because we're closer to mortality. We're closer to meeting our maker, right? And so we don't know when that time is that we're going to eventually graduate Earth, but there's a 100% guarantee that you will pass on from this Earth. We just don't know the date or time. So by bringing in a healthcare professional to remove any remaining key risk in retirement. So one of that is long-term care. Now, this person does have life insurance, 2 policies, and I have to take a deep dive in it to get a little more educated on any long-term care riders in there. It's been such a headache to get information from the insurance company that they had these policies with. So we're working on that. That's sort of been it's sort of been a back burner. It's not been our primary focus right now because we had these other big blocks, but this is now coming to our attention to see, okay, are there any riders in here that would turn this $150,000 death benefit and turn a percentage of that, a bulk of it, into a living benefit for long-term care, right? Hospice, chronic illness, anything like that. If we were to develop any kind of terminal chronic illnesses, diseases, disability, or need long-term care, how do we solve for that? Okay. So when using insurance to remove that risk, whatever the premiums cost pales in comparison to not having insurance and having to cover it out of pocket. Okay. So we're going to look at the person's healthcare plan, see what's in there, their existing life insurance policies. The annuity that they have has a rider on there of impairment, and I have to look at what the circumstances are for that as well. But just know that this person has different levers that they can pull on for this. We're just getting more clarity. So by bringing in a healthcare professional that deals with seniors in retirement and approaching that potential stage of life where you need help when you're no longer able to do certain daily activities, it's good to have that kind of person in your pocket, right? So you want to consider having these kinds of people that you can lean on: financial coach, a retirement specialist, a financial advisor, a mortgage professional, a healthcare professional. And it doesn't hurt if all these people are in somewhat of communication and in alignment with your goals. You don't want the financial coach giving a strategy and the financial advisor giving a strategy and the retirement specialist giving a strategy. Someone needs to be the quarterback here, right? Someone in this group needs to be the leader, right? That could be the advisor, that could be the coach, that could be the specialist, right? Someone like a mortgage professional, a healthcare professional is solving one aspect. They're just focusing on one aspect of the person's relationship. So when you're building your financial dream team, it's important to identify who your quarterback is, okay? And I'm using football terms. That's basically the leader of the pack, the person that's calling the plays, right? And it's even better when that quarterback is willing to get feedback and constructive, advice and criticism over their strategy, and they present it and, say poke holes, right? So in this scenario, I'm their quarterback. I'm the financial coach who's the quarterback, who's the leader of, say, this team. And then anytime the conversation of financial investing comes up, I, as the leader, I'm going to call a play, but I'm going to yield to the advisor to basically run the ball for a touchdown. And then when we're talking retirement, again, I'm going to yield the floor. I'm going to pass it to the retirement specialist to run for a touchdown. I, as the quarterback, do not run the ball for a touchdown. I pass it. That's my job. But I did call the play, brought them in, right? So there were multiple stages in this relationship where I would pass the ball to solve for different moves so that it improves the overall plan. And I, as the coach, I'm in direct, consistent communication with the client. So from 2021, 2022, I've been working with this person. We have had well over 50 plus hours together, one-to-one, over 1 hour calls, whether it was 1 hour calls or 30-minute calls, right? So think about that dedication. Over the last 4 or 5 years, we've been having one-to-one phone calls together at 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes longer. So that's over 50 plus hours on one person. I want to say we're probably in the 70 plus hour range, because there's even been times where we just talk just to talk a little bit and just get updates on things like that. And then when you factor in all the other professionals that came in, we're talking 100 plus hours at least on just one person. So again, achieving financial freedom, success, independence, financial security, all these things to reach your goals in retirement, before retirement, after retirement, it's going to take a team, right? So with that being said, my lesson here is complete. For those of you that want to work with me one-to-one, you can reach out to me directly. You can go on my website. I've got my program listed right there. You can book a call with me, right? So denzelrodriguez.com is my website where you can book a call with me one-to-one. And that's how most people start off, is they'll do an initial consultation and then eventually will upgrade into some kind of one-to-one service. So I'll put that link right there for you all to look at. I'm going to scroll up to the top and take a look at some of your questions. So TV Club says, how can you get a line of credit without a job income? As far as I know, you can't. I've never seen anyone obtain a line of credit without showing income. Now, let's say you were just fired today. I would try to get a personal line of credit today, right? Real story. this happened in 2018. When I got fired at my job, I had a personal line of credit for $3,000. And once I lost my job, I lost my source of income, but I immediately ran to the bank and requested a credit line increase. And I think I got it increased to 10,000. I'm pretty sure I had got it increased to 10,000 or 5,000, I can't remember. But that bought me time, right? I basically bought myself 2-3 months worth of income in the form of debt to buy me time to figure out what I was going to do, right? And that's how I started the YouTube channel at that point. So again, can you get a line of credit without any job? I want to say no. I've never seen anyone do it. You have to show income, right? But again, if you just got fired today, now's your chance. Go try, right? And chances are you can show last 30 days because you have pay stubs. So you can still show income, but moving forward, no income. Now, are you going to get a line of credit on your home? Probably not, because there's more extensive research that goes into that. And at closing, they can cancel closing if you can't show or produce a recent statement, right, with income. So if they don't see income, they can back out, right? Recommend credit unions near Southwest Florida from Andrew Taylor. So I got multiple videos on this, Mr. Taylor. And I'm simply going to answer the question the way I actually search for this stuff. And it's pretty simple, nothing crazy. Taylor, takes you maybe 20-30 minutes at most. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to ask Andrew Taylor's question. Credit unions in Southwest Florida. Now, for you, Taylor, you could be even more specific and name the county, city that you're in, that you're trying to find. So credit unions in Southwest Florida for say a HELOC. Let's say Andrew was looking for a HELOC or a personal line of credit. You could put that in the search as well. Okay. So keep in mind, the very first page of Google often is going to be a sponsored ad. And these are typically not going to be HELOCs I want to look at. So when you see Figure Lending, when you see Avon, right? Discover, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, these are all HELOCs I don't exactly love, right? They don't operate the way that I like. So ideally you want to scroll down a little bit. Okay. And here are some banks, credit unions that offer HELOCs in Southwest Florida. So chances are Southwest Florida, that's what, depending on how west we're talking, could be like Naples, right? Or Southwest could be Broward County. So we've got Suncoast, Florida, Space Coast, Bright Star, University Credit Union. Quite a bit of banks here. This is about as simple as it gets. Now, Space Coast Credit Union is a personal favorite of mine. I've had quite a few clients work with them. That doesn't mean that Andrew should get a HELOC at Space Coast, right? Even though I like the bank. So I never operate that way. I never just give a bank. It's always based on context of that person's situation. And we're looking for the best HELOC for that person's specific situation. Now, just for examples purposes, I'm going to click on a bank like Space Coast Credit Union and basically show you what I'm looking for when I hit the bank site. So typically I'm looking for the word loans, right? Because I'm looking for one. The form of loan that I'm looking for is a line of credit. So if I was looking for a home equity line of credit, chances are it's going to be under the word mortgages. There you go. home equity line of credit. We're avoiding home equity loans. We don't want home equity loans because those are not revolving. We want a home equity line of credit because that is revolving. Open-ended, money in, money out, okay? And then if I was looking for a personal line of credit, chances are it's most likely going to be under personal loans, okay? And if it is not, which we don't see here, then you would click on rates, okay? When you go to rates, this is showing all the rates of their products. If we don't see a personal line of credit, then the bank doesn't offer it. Or if they do, they're not advertising it, and it's something that you basically got to ask for. All right. So let's see if they have it. Does not look like. It doesn't look like Space Coast Credit Union has a personal revolving line of credit, but they might. You'd have to call and ask. But very simple, Andrew. That is my process right there to find a bank, right? So when it comes to recommendations, I don't necessarily recommend banks. I simply show you how to qualify a bank so that you can make the best decision. I have a video most recently that is like perfect summarized blueprint video titled How to Find the Right HELOC in 2024. That's like my most recent video, pretty solid. And then I have a playlist called All About the Line of Credit, where it's videos from 2018 all the way to 2025 that really gives you the breakdown on like how to read these products line by line and make the best decision, right? Let's see. So wondering where the debt tool comes from in retirement. Yeah, so, great question. So just by having this line of credit is a phenomenal tool to have in retirement, not just for the sake of eliminating debt, which this person is doing, but can also be used as a bridge to buy time. For example, let's say you're completely debt-free and you're 65 years old and you're on fixed income. You got Social Security income, maybe a pension, and you have some investments, okay? And instead of withdrawing income out of your investment accounts that comes with taxes, right? And obviously when you take money out of your investment account, you're no longer earning interest on that money. Make sense? So let's just say that you wanted to stay vested, right? You wanted to stay in the market in those investment accounts a little bit longer, maybe 2-3 years. You could do the math on taking what you need out of a line of credit slowly but surely over, let's say, the next 2-3 years at an interest rate of 7 or 8%. If you were to calculate how much interest that would cost you to withdraw, say, $500 a month, $1,000 a month. Let's say you're short in retirement $500 to $1,000 a month. You have a paid off home. Say you got a first lien HELOC on that home. You can basically take tax-free income. You're taking debt and using it as income to cover expenses for a period of time to let your investments continue to grow. And just that 3-year gap, what if that meant an extra 20-30% return over that 2-3 year period on the total of your investment account versus what you paid in interest for those same 2-3 years? You can make a strong argument you'd have more money, and then you'd stop doing that and then turn on income for any one of those assets or distribution, basically. Very strategic, but also quite simple in solving for creating a bridge to buy time. And that's where debt becomes very helpful. So what I just did for this client if we move forward with getting a first lien HELOC, is it opens the door for them. Again, like I said, liquidity. They've got all this liquidity now while simultaneously paying down their house. So while they're getting out of debt, something comes up, they need to do a roof repair, they need to install something in the home, they want to do this, they want to do garden work, they want to do this, they want to do that. That's outside of their normal expenses. They want to take a vacation. They can just use their home as credit, as cash flow, basically, to finance different things. And the cost to do that is cheaper than them drawing from their IRA, from their Roth, right, from their annuity. Cheaper right now. They can let those accounts continue to grow at 10, 8, whatever the percentage rate is on the totality of all those funds, right, till they're maybe 70 or 71, and then maybe take distributions at that point in time. Another reason why that's huge, Club, is people are living a lot longer, right, than ever before. So a major risk in retirement is living too long and your money not outliving you. So debt becomes a powerful vehicle. It's tax-free. So debt could be used as income temporarily to essentially buy time. Next question, Denzel. I've been watching you for a couple of years now. I've enjoyed your expert tutelage. Have since paid off all my debts to include a new car in 11 months. I'm now retired. That is beautiful. Congratulations to the Dark Knight, whatever your name is, sir. Reach out to me personally. Email me. Put that comment in your YouTube name. Love to just jump on a call, completely complimentary. I want to congratulate you on you being retired, on you following the content, listening, and doing the stuff I say to do. Because from a DIY standpoint, getting out of debt, I tell people all the time, and even Christy Vance says this, and other content creators in the velocity banking space, you never have to actually pay us $1 to do the strategy, but what you're really paying for is accountability, support, coaching, guidance, and strategy, pointing out potential holes in your potential DIY strategy. But still, nonetheless, there's people like Dark Knight and many others that have the wherewithal, that have existing skills coming to the table, that at the very least, they can at least just become debt-free. And now that they're retired, maybe we can strategize on, okay, let's bring a retirement specialist. Let's make sure that your chances of success in retirement is either guaranteed for the rest of your life, right? Or the possibility of portfolio failure is as close to zero as we can, right? Right. We want to reduce the percentage rate of portfolio failure as close to zero as possible from a math standpoint, from a number standpoint, right? At the end of the day, the person can always destroy their financial portfolio through poor stewardship, right? So, some institutions do recasting for free. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Hello, hello. My wife and I have a home, $40,000 owed. 110K is the value. Our combined income is $110,000 a month. I'm assuming a year or a month. We have bad credit. Trying to see what our options are. First lien HELOC. If you have bad credit, first lien's off the table. Don't even think about it, right? Not worth it, right? So step one is just improve your credit, right? I've always told everybody on this YouTube channel and all my clients, we do not need, we do not want to force velocity banking. Velocity banking is never something anyone should just dive into. It's something that we should do pregame work to build up into. Despite what some of my other content creators may say about velocity banking being everyone in the world should do it, I don't agree with that. right? I believe velocity banking works for specific scenarios, under specific circumstances, with the correct numbers and the correct pregame work to maximize results. I've always been on that end where I lean more toward, obviously I want everyone to learn about the strategy, because there could be a world where at some point it might make sense and then it's something that you can pull out, right? It's something you can have in your arsenal. Carlos Morales says, thanks to you, Denzel, I got my second position HELOC in 2019, then got my first position HELOC in 2020. Wonderful. Wonderful. Nice, nice. And I'm assuming he got his first lien HELOC in 2020 when rates were coming down. They were coming down. So maybe he was at like a 4, 5, 6% rate, maybe even lower. Chances are he still has his first lien HELOC today in 2025 if it's a 10-year draw. And he's probably rocking and rolling. Okay. Are there any other questions before we close out? All right, this was a quick video, just simply sharing with you another case study on how velocity banking can be extremely helpful in retirement to maximize cash flow, reduce stress, reduce expenses, reduce obligations, but still solve the goal of, say, being debt-free, and just frees up a lot of space overall. Again, you want to work with me one-to-one, go to my website. You'll see an option to book a call. All right, so I'll put my website up on the screen one more time. You can contact me directly. You fill out a form. You're going to get sent automated emails. It's going to take you through a process. Eventually, at some point, I want to get on the phone with you. The way I run my practice is it's me, right? I like to work with people one-to-one, but I also have workshops that I do and group coaching, group sessions. So at the very, very, very lowest, most affordable option is literally $50 a month. And that does get you access to one-to-one coaching, the very, very low cost level over time, right? We have a process, we build it up, and we do private workshops just like this publicly, but I would actually have you on a Zoom, and you can actually like interrupt me, ask questions, or I can actually have your numbers being ran live where we can have a dialogue and conversation, versus this is more one way. I'm just kind of telling you something, right? So with that being said, we'll close out here. God bless you all. I don't see any other questions. It's been an honor. Stay tuned. More content just like this. More case studies. No hype, right? No overhype, no overselling. It's just straight numbers, details, context, story, process, action. Let's make it happen. Have a wonderful day. God bless. And we'll be talking soon. Bye now.